Okay, so tell me what the March of the Relin Brothers is all about.
Tomorrow, December 17th, is End Violence Against Sex Workers Day. So being a holiday, we had it today. So we're going to march to end violence against sex workers, but not just high-end sex workers, street-level sex workers, where a lot of the crimes, go unpunished because they don't know who did them, or because we can look at it the way I look at it. The women are the most of the vulnerable population, and nobody really wants to take the time to look at it. And in the Niagara region, that is slowly changing. We have to look at that. It is slowly changing from the Crown's office to NRP to the Sex Trade Task Force. Joint efforts are being made in the Niagara region to bring about change for street-level sex trade workers. So in my eyes, hopefully they can stay out there safely or they can exit safely.
Now, how long has this march been going on for?
3 years here in Niagara.
So what was the inspiration for starting the march?
It's so silly. I was invited to speak at the Hamilton End Violence Against Sex Workers Day, and I said, I don't think I'm going to come. I'm going to start my own. So that's what I did. That's about it.
If you could say anything to the community about what you're doing, what would you say?
What would I say? I would say sex work isn't racist. Human trafficking takes anybody. These streets take lives, and that's somebody's daughter, somebody's sister, somebody's mother, somebody's aunt. And there's no guarantees that they get off the streets alive. Some become the walking dead, and some are brutally murdered. Because any sex trade murder I've ever encountered has always been a very, very violent death. So to the community, they're part of our community. And their backyard is your backyard. So when you say not on my street and not on my backyard, you're turning an eye to a problem that could someday include someone in your family.
I've noticed in other projects we've done that there's a lack of volunteers. Do you find there's a lack of volunteers for what you're trying to do?
It goes in waves, Once people come on board and they find out that these women are young and beautiful and full of energy and they have dreams and they have goals, but they're sabotaged by drugs or recruitment of pimps. So when you're doing that, right, you're taking away her dream. But when women are in the drop-in or I'm talking to women, oh, I wanted to be a lawyer, oh, I wanted to be a teacher. So they have dreams, right? And what we need to realize is those are their dreams. The sex and the drugs sometimes take all that away. And we don't have a right to continue to do that.
Do you think there's sufficient support for addicts in the area for men and women?
No, absolutely not.
How would you like to see that changed?
There needs to be more resources for women. More resources where the women can go in and say, they don't, instead of hiding the sex work, they can go in and say, listen, I work the streets, I do this, I do that, I need help. Please help me. And us as professionals not trying to isolate one thing, combining everything that woman is the only way you're going to help her. Not being the judge and jury, or if you want to call it that, and saying, okay, I'm just going to work on this with her. You know what? That's only one component to that girl, or that boy, or that trans, or that gay, or that bisexual sex worker. How dare we abuse them that way? And that's how I see that. Until we learn more about street-level sex work, until we learn more as a community, we abuse, in a sense, the people. Because lack of knowledge can be abuse.
Do you have enough support from the City Council and other councils in the region?
I don't have hardly any support from City Council, probably absolutely none. But the amazing part is, Mayor Brian McMullen supports what we do. I have a letter from him. He has taken the time to come down and walk through the trenches with me more than once. And so did Councillor Mark Elliott. Came and walked through the trenches with me. So those two gentlemen, my hat goes off to them.
What would you say to City Council if you could say anything?
Let's hope it's never your child that I'm in the trenches helping.
Debbie Smith, I'm instructor with Niagara Regional Police. I've been on the job for approximately 21 years. I'm involved with the Sex Trade Task Force as well as a diversional program, and it offers the girls and the fellows on the street an alternative to a different lifestyle by providing them with support and resources to make changes in their lives and to follow through with those changes. We have a line that's called the Bad Day line. The line is a toll-free number that anyone may call, and they would report anonymously. There's no tracing on the line. There's no way of us detecting who called, and it is for the people to call in who have experienced violence on the streets with a date that has gone bad, and it allows us to get the skeletal information. It becomes a data bank of intelligence that can supply for us common denominators in assaults or attacks, such as if someone consistently uses verbiage, like certain words during the attack, or consistently has a different makeup of how they assault, whether it be by hands or by choking or whatever it happens to be. It's a sort of a mark of the crime itself. If we get a lot of calls about a certain particular, elements of the crime, then we can match them up, and then we know perhaps, it alerts us that we might have someone out there that is repeating their offenses and subjecting girls and fellows that are on the street to their fantasies or to their abuse. In years gone by, they would make reports, and because of their trade, they may not have been taken with all seriousness. This enables them to be taken with seriousness, to report the crime, and do it on an anonymous basis, again, to provide us with the intelligence that we need. We're encouraging anyone who has experienced that to please call the Bad Day line, let us know the information, and then we can work with that.
Okay, well, I'm Mike. I'm a former social worker. I'm now retired. I've been on the Sex Trade Task Force for quite a few years now, through Deb Nanson, and I'm on the task force because I believe in what it means, what it stands for, which is equality for everybody, including the women out there on the streets that deserve better than their fate that they have sometimes.
Is support lacking in the community for this cause?
I think that people really don't, in everyday lives, don't look at this. They only get what they read in the newspaper, or something happens to somebody, or somebody dies. They might read that and say, "Oh, that was terrible," and then they move on with their lives. And I think overall in this community, probably there's not that much awareness. And I'm not laying blame, it's just the way it is. People live their lives, and part of that living their lives is going home, being comfortable with their families, and saying the world's okay. And if you don't get the message out, it's not going to happen, right?
What would you like to see the city council do for this?
That's a good question, actually. You got me down. I think certainly the awareness of the City Council should at least promote this kind of cause and support it whatever ways possible. I mean, obviously maybe financial help could be of some assistance at times, because there's things that have to be paid for, things have to be done. They're the leaders of the city. I mean, if they don't lead, and if they can't get the awareness out, then that's what they're there for. They represent us. We voted for them, and this city includes sex workers, that are out on the streets, so they should be represented. So in that respect, City Council should at least be more involved in whatever way they can.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
My name is Bridget Perrier, My Indian name is Wasekwe, meaning woman of light, and I come from the Ojibwe people in Northern Ontario. And my organization that I co-founded is called Sex Trade 101. We're an abolition-run, experiential-run organization of former exploited women that felt the need that our stories needed to be told so that the views on people in the sex trade can be changed.
Is there enough government support for what you're doing?
It's starting to trickle in, but it's not enough. Our girls really need an exit strategy, and they're very, very broken when they come to us. So there's a lot of legwork and maneuvering around through the system so that their voices can be heard. But the government, you know, they have done some things, but not enough.
If you could say anything to the local governments, to help you out, what would you say?
Not to legalize prostitution. We need to look at what's working for countries that have lowered numbers. So holding the supply and the demand accountable, holding those who traffic women accountable, holding the Jones accountable, and with stiff fines so that the women that are enslaved have a resource to get out.
Do you feel that the general public is aware of what you're doing?
They are aware. I don't know how receptive they are. Just last night we laid to rest a sex worker from Winnipeg that was shot in the head in Toronto. We sometimes forget the term sex work. I don't like because it's not work, it's paid rape. Only 3% of the women enjoyed what they're doing. 97% say they want it out.
I love you, baby! Last year there was snow.
You'll be our navigator to seeing everybody. You're the local.
Okay, we can just have
You know Hebrew as well.
So we're here together today to remember women who have lost their lives, women whose names have been forgotten, and they shouldn't be forgotten, because they just as important as we are, or as anyone else in all of creation. Gracious God, we give you thanks. We give you thanks for the gift of life you so freely give us. We give you thanks for all those who have gone on before. Help us to remember, and remember our connection with our Creator and with our Mother, the Earth. We are connected through this web of life. Help us to remember that, and remember those who we name. Bernadette Leclerc, Donna Tevenham, Minnie Sutherland, Sandra K. Johnson, Charlene Catholic, Heather Tuckatuck, Cheryl Ann Johnson, Anna Mae Acklish, Laura Lee Cross,
Nancy Jane Ball, Yvonne Aberlus, Serena Abbotsway, Cassandra Leotona, Carrie Ann Gordon, Tammy Lee Pipe, Rachel Turley, Rose Minnie Peters,
Alberta Williams, Sherry Irving, Sarah Jean DeVries, Lisa Marie Young, Michelle Gurney, Janet Henry, Stephanie Main, Elsie Sebastian,
Sherry Ann Upright, Edna Bernard, Barbara Iapes, Rhonda Runningbird, Georgette Flint, Bernadette,
Anastasia Kahanaku, Mavis Mason, Gail Cardinal.
Brenda Wolf, Jennifer Firminger, Rebecca Guno, Maria Lorna Laverte, Ruby Ann Hardy, Michelle Rimamai, Mona Wilson, Cheryl and Joe.
We've named all these women. What's important to remember is all of these women were someone's child. They were sisters and aunties and mothers. And all of those people who mourn, I ask you to remember, mourn for someone they haven't had an opportunity to say farewell to.
And I believe in saying, I am she is me, we are each other. And we are each other. In solidarity, we need to stand, shoulder to shoulder. Today is the day to end violence against sex workers. Today is the day we have to stand up and say, we've had enough. Look at this beautiful park. If everybody can take a look how beautiful it is in the daytime. It's a murdering ground at night. There's no lights. Women are abused here. Yet this is a beautiful park. No one has a right to take a life. So, if we could stand, open our umbrellas, remember our murdered and missing women, and move forward.
Oh, you put on umbrella. I'll be all right. Sounds good, eh?
It's off.
Oh, look.
Sex work shouldn't equal murder. Let's let these people by. Oh, sorry you didn't wrap that in here. Fuck off. Fuck off yourself. Excuse your lifeline. You have a nice day. You get your money with that mouth. Hi, puppy. I can't. No more hate! No more violence! No more hate! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! 2, 4, 6, 8! No more violence! No more hate! 2, 4, 6, 8! No more violence! No more hate! Stop the silence and the violence! 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 I can hear you! Stop what? Silence! Stop what? Silence! Stop what? The silence! And what? The violence! And what? The violence! And what? The violence! I can hear you! And what? The violence! And what?
What do we want?
Justice!
What do we want?
Justice!
What do we really want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
When do we want it?
Now!
Why have you waited so long? Justice, where have you been? What do we want?
I think we just need to change our attitudes about women in general. And once we start doing that, other things will follow suit.